Well, welcome to Chapter 4. We're going to start looking at triangles and reviewing what we know about the trigonometric functions, sine, cosine, and tan, and deal with some vocabulary that we haven't seen for a little while. So let's go ahead and get right into a question here. Here's a question about a conveyor that they use. It looks like moving such things as gravel. And the conveyor is 12 meters long, as we can see in the diagram here, and makes an angle of 15 degrees with the ground. And we already have it sketched, so that's part one. But the question is, how do you find the maximum height of the gravel stockpile that this conveyor can make? And you can see that's indicated with the letter H here. So if we look at the triangle that we have, just going to kind of re-sketch it here. We have a length of 12 meters. We have an angle of 15 degrees, which makes a right angle here, and a height of h. In order to find the value of h, I need to know which of the three trig functions that I should use in terms of sine, cosine, and tangent. And whoops, just to remind you that the acronym SOHCAHTOA can be used to help us remember the relationship. Sine is opposite divided by hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent divided by hypotenuse, and tan is opposite over adjacent. So relative to this 15 degrees, we know the opposite side, and we know the hypotenuse of the triangle, which is h. So we're going to use sine. So we will go sine of 15 degrees equals the opposite side over the hypotenuse. And then to solve for h, we would times both sides by 12. And we would get our answer that h is sine of 15 degrees times 12. And we would round that probably to the nearest meter, depending on what it asks us to do. Now question C says the stockpile, the actual gravel, is in the shape of a cone and makes an angle of 37 degrees with the ground. How much volume of material can Ethan store? This goes back to our previous unit involving volume and capacity. So we're going to have to figure out a value and then apply that to what we previously knew. Another question here involves a perimeter around a yard. And this person wants to put a fence around the perimeter. And you can see it's a kind of an odd shape made up of two triangles and a rectangle. And so in order for us to do this, we need to remind ourselves that the measures of any triangle add to 180. And so if we know that one angle is 90 degrees, then we know that if the other angle in this case is 50, 50 subtracted from 90 means this angle here must be 40 degrees. And because this full angle is 100 degrees, 100 take away 40 means this angle here is 50 degrees. That's 90, which means this angle here is also 40 degrees. And so from that, can we find the values of A and B? And the answer is yes. Yes, we can. We're going to have to find them in parts by doing multiple steps, but we can find them because any time that you know an angle or two angles and one side of a triangle, you can use sine, cosine, or tan, depending on what you want, to solve those missing values. So when you're working on your assignment, we're going to have to practice setting up the problem, but then how do we know which one to use? And if you're not sure why or how, that's where I come into play. Another example is a kite, and you can see in this diagram that a kite is made up of 4 triangles. And when you're asked to find different values here, you're going to have to first say, well, where do I know enough information to solve this problem? And the only distance we're given is in the pink triangle. So we would have to start with the pink triangle, find the value of A. Then once we know A, we could find E. Once we know E, we can find B. B will allow us to find the measure of F, and then C, and then we can work our way all around in as many steps and many calculations to do. And that's basically the idea. Again, just to reiterate that you're going to need to ask, if you're not sure which one do I use and why, then how do I write my work down, and then how do I enter it into my calculator? These are the details that you sometimes need help with. So make sure you ask.